A chilling hush falls over the platoon as the commanding officers begin their briefing. The men are given the order to commence one of the most important campaigns of their service. All their training, from the basics of handling a blaster to the innumerable hours spent in combat situations, has led up to this moment.
3 is going on green, and Spectre.
Castle, the battalion's ground crew, directs the troopers to a set of nearby LAAT gunship transports whilst pilots finish up critical last-second repairs after the grueling space battle above. An Acclimator-class assault ship, affectionately nicknamed Gravestone by the men, arrives on the surface of Aria. After meticulous preparations and hasty repairs, the Aviation Corps of Spirit Platoon deploys to their assigned landing zones. Avoiding hostile interceptors, Wampa Squadron makes landfall. Spirit Platoon is forced to disembark under enemy fire to spearhead the attack. One thought races through their minds. The struggle for Aria has begun. Not far away, the 2nd Platoon is offloaded under less dire circumstances. After shuffling out of the LAAT and trekking to their objective, the transport returns to base to await further tasking. On a nearby ridge overlooking their objective, Spirit Platoon takes cover in preparation for a firefight. Hundreds of bolts are sure to be exchanged over the course of the brawl. Under heavy fire, the platoon advances towards the objective. They face heavy resistance, and a hefty price is paid for each mile secured in the name of the Republic. Once the Republic troops have reached the outer perimeter of the facility, there's little time for respite as close quarters combat ensues. Republic troopers prepare themselves to clear out any Separatist presence that waits within a nearby cluster of buildings. Each of these troopers has spent their lives training for this type of situation, though oftentimes survival comes down to each trooper's individual ability under combat conditions. Very quickly, the situation deteriorates into chaos as our Republic troopers make contact with Separatist forces. Further into the facility, Spirit Platoon's 1st squad is stopped dead in their tracks by a CIS B-2 super battle droid. As durable as it is dangerous, a B-2 poses a major challenge for even the most seasoned veterans. Faced with no other option, CS-1906, nicknamed Jupiter, attempts to find a better path forward for his men. Meanwhile, in another wing of the facility, chaos unfolds as the men attempt to brute force their way through a heavily defended choke point. A daunting task, as Separatist emplacements and armor stand ready to hold their line. The squad's rocket gunner aims true, sending a devastating warhead into the droid's core. The threat ahead neutralized, the squad is able to safely push forward. Making quick work of the remaining droids, the men of the 212th maintain their momentum despite mounting casualties. Not long after, a call for supporting fire is picked up over comms by Revenant, the fire support detachment of the 212th Attack Battalion. Their shells land true, relentlessly bombarding the designated enemy positions in a bid to soften up resistance for the advancing infantry. Moments after the last shell of the barrage detonates, the 212th Attack Battalion makes their move, ensuring the Separatists have no time to regain their bearings. Back at the facility, the rear guard discovers a host of Republic prisoners, captured during one of the more recent Separatist counterattacks. The newly liberated Republic prisoners are returned back to the Acclimator-class assault ship. Unfortunately for them, the peril isn't over. Each of these men have been subjected to various forms of interrogation and will need a full psychic and medical evaluation, as well as a debrief on their time in enemy hands. Those deemed fit for duty will be able to rejoin Spirit Platoon on the front. With the Separatist armor depot under heavy siege by Republic forces, the droid garrison rests firmly within the jaws of defeat. Unbeknownst to them, infantry begin to breach and clear the interior. Meanwhile, small fire teams take positions throughout the outer trenches to cut off the Separatists' retreat. It's been long said that fortune favors the bold, but unfortunately for this gallant trooper, one of the battle droids manages to score a lucky shot, wounding him. His luck hasn't entirely run out just yet, however, as his comrades quickly drag him to safety. Once again, Jupiter CS-1906 makes the call for air support, hoping to get an upper hand on the hostiles his team has been engaged with. Unfortunately, his request is promptly denied as the gunships continue their fight for aerial superiority. For now, he'll have to bide his time while the dogfight rages above before he'll be able to rely on any assistance from friendly pilots.
I am VCT-1019 Red Fox. I am billeted as a PLX gunner for the Spirit 1-1 fire team of the Spirit Platoon. So as a billeted AT trooper, your main priority is to take out heavy armored targets as they show up to try to minimize the casualties they have on your men. The procedures for firing both the RPS-6 and the PLX are the same, of having to clear your back blast to make sure you don't accidentally friendly fire a squad mate or friend. I do enjoy everyone that's in the squad. They're all very fun people who aren't too nitpicky about everything, I'll say, I guess. And then I guess as for my current fire team specifically, albeit it's only currently billeted for just me and my team leader Ajax, me and him get along very well, and we're always giving each other a hard time and messing around, but at the end of the day we're always going to be there to have each other's back when shit hits the fan. All I've known so far is just this, so I have a hard time thinking of what else I would or could even do.
Regrettably, our interview was cut short by a bout of blaster fire erupting near our position. Without so much as a moment of hesitation, the men take up arms and return fire. As I stood overlooking the compound, the exchange of fire was almost deafening. Even still, the composure of the battle-hardened 212th remained impressive to me. Lesser men would cower in situations like this, fear overcoming them as death draws ever closer. I'll admit, it was a moment of self-reflection for me. But I'm grateful for the service of these brave men, willing to lay it all on the line so the citizens of the Republic can live safely and without fear. The moment was cut short as the platoon made their way down an exposed hillside towards a nearby building, all the while under constant fire. Finally, at the doorway to the compound, the platoon leader gives the order to breach the dome's door. The demolitions expert is sent to the front of the platoon to clear the obstacle.
You ready? What's going on? It's firing all my life.
The resulting blast damages our camera, but our crew managed to get it back in working order with a bit of ingenuity and percussive maintenance. Now rolling again, we're introduced to a platoon in dire straits, fighting tooth and nail with the Separatists. With few options and in an attempt to dispose of the droids, they throw yet another C-type explosive device. The explosion shakes the foundations of the dome, rending metal and circuits as a shockwave rips through the air. An unintentional side effect, the explosive loosens up the supports of some nearby equipment, which injures some of the men as it falls. In other sections of this compound, ground is much more easily gained as men advance through the various corridors, clearing the facility like a well-oiled machine.
Everything that we've run through so far. Go ahead. Have you gone that way?
Don't
Here,
know.
there's a door that's not been opened.
One came through that
Okay, we're
way.
going that way then.
Outside the compound, a bit less discretion is required, allowing for more destructive tactics. Despite being relatively new to war correspondence, there's one thing I can say without so much as a shadow of a doubt. The 212th simply embodies the phrase, no kill like overkill. Of course, the Separatists are not above cruel and inhumane tactics. Our recordings pick back up sometime later, overlooking the last Separatist forward operating base within the region, now under heavy siege. The haggard defenders are picked off by anti-tank launchers and overwhelming blaster fire. As the battlefield finally falls silent, a feeling of relief falls upon all those who took part. A foothold has at long last been established on Aria.